Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, and this is going to be a reading vlog where you and I both find out what books I'll be reading in the vlog. So to help me pick those out, I have a special guest. So please put your hands together. This is Grant, my husband. Say hi.
Hello.
Okay. So in my TBR video, I had about 20 books. I'm explaining this to both you and them. I took, I think, 7 out. So the remaining 13, let me count this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. The remaining 13, I want you to decide 3 that I will be reading in this vlog. And you can do that by looking at the cover and making a judgment call. You can see what kind of vibe is there, or you can read every single one of the flaps.
Okay.
3 books, any 3.
Am I doing it right now? Just like that?
Anytime you'd like.
All right. Well, first off, it wasn't really fair that you put this book on top because...
It's cute.
Yeah. This is like a pretty strong candidate, but I feel like it's the first book I looked at, so let's maybe look at the other books. This one I feel like is an instant no based on the cover. I'm sorry, but I hate it. I don't really hate it, but I just don't like it. The more I look at it, I guess it's okay. A Visit from the Goon Squad. Sounds interesting. I kind of want to read what this one's about. So, smut.
It's not smut at all.
Maybe this one. I'll put it in the maybe pile. Death in Her Hands. This book looks crazy. This looks like something I would have picked up as like, I don't know, it looks like it's from like the 60s or something like that.
It does. It's got a little 70s, 60s vibe.
There's the cover.
Can I smell it?
No. You're gonna smell it on camera?
I cut these parts out.
Weird. This one is like probably a yes. I'm actually gonna put this in like the almost certainly a yes pile because it's like mystery, murder. Sounds kind of cool. The Last Housewife. I'm like gonna say snap decision no on that, but I'll read.
What a misogynist.
This looks cool. I mean, this maybe not.
Show
the
them
colors
what it
back
is
here.
after you just said that.
All right. The colors in the back look cool. Like it looks like an oil painting, but the body up front looks like some smut trash. What is a gang lord? Okay, we have Magic for Liars. This one looks kind of cool. Ivy Gamble was born. Ivy Gamble is a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this one in the probably S pile. That sounds kind of cool. Billy Summers. Billy is one of the most talented snipers in the world. All right, yeah, I'm sure he is. That's a no. But I'm gonna go with these definitely being like definite yeses. So it's Magic for Liars and Death in Her Hands.
Very colorful choices. I like it.
Yeah, so the green and the blue and then the red and yellow and black and blue and every other color.
All the colors.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They both sound like mysteries and just kind of different, and the magic detective one's kind of interesting. See, I read Stormfront, and that was a detective novel with a wizard or whatever. I think chess magic is kind of cool. I didn't even read this Earthlings like synopsis thing. I just thought the cover was the best cover. So let me actually read this a little bit. Okay, that doesn't sound as cool as the other ones, I'll be honest. But I just got a feeling this might be a pretty good story for this type of stuff you like.
What kind of stuff do I like?
People just living or something. Existing. I don't know. I like fantasy and all that kind of stuff, sci-fi.
We'll go to the bookstore and Grant will pick me whatever he wants me to read.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool video. This one's kind of cool. It's the punk rocker one. I'm just gonna go with that because I liked punk rock music growing up quite a bit. So we'll go with that one. Yeah, all right, those are my 3. And I think I'm most interested in, actually might be most interested in this. I think the plainness of the cover, and it feels like this reminiscent like old Harvey Boys looking cover thing or something. I don't know, it just looks interesting to me.
All right, well, actually, all of these I predicted, these are 5-star predictions for me.
Really? What are the other
It's
ones?
interesting that you've chosen these. The only other one that's a 5-star prediction, Earthlings.
No way.
It's like a 4.5. So you were so close to choosing that, and perhaps the Insatiable Volt Sisters.
Do you have any that you think are gonna be like not that good?
I mean, I wouldn't have bought them if I thought they were going to be trash. I'm going to read these, and I will tell you all about them. Well, maybe you. I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll tell you my
Tell me
rating.
which is your favorite especially, and if these, I don't know, the punk rocker one, I'm like, it might be good, might be bad, but tell me if the other ones are good especially. I'm
Okay.
I'm
Will you read
curious.
them?
Maybe.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sears.
It was an honor.
Okay. Okay, I'm about a quarter through, and I don't think this is what Grant was imagining it was gonna be, which is the funniest thing. He was telling me, I don't know if you just skipped to this part, but he was telling me that he thinks my style of book is where people just exist and like live their normal lives, and that's literally what's happening in this book, and it's exactly what I expected. Because this is the author of My Year in Rest and Relaxation, and that's exactly what this book was about. So our main character, whose name is, oh my god, what's her name? Her name is Vesta. She's like 72 years old. She is a widower, or a widow? Yeah, she's a widow. She has a dog, which is like, I think he's gonna be a big part of this story. And she's just this lonely lady who lives in a cabin in the woods. The opening scene, she finds this note that says, her name was Magda. Nobody will ever know who killed her. It wasn't me. Here's her dead body. No dead bodies there. And so this is a real-time account of her inner monologue. So she is just non-stop thinking to herself. She's thinking about her husband. She's talking to us about her dog. And she has all of these theories about who Magda was and who this person who left the body was, who wrote the note. And it's so funny that she is like writing this entire story pretty much, and she's trying to figure out who this killer or who the note writer was, and she decides his name is Blake. And then 2 pages later she's like, so why did Blake do this? And I forgot that she had named him already. And it was just, it's like funny. So in this very, very chit-chatty, almost irritating way, we're getting little pieces of who Magda is, not Magna, who Vesta is, and how she works and how neurotic she is, how lonely she is. So I don't think anything's actually gonna happen. I don't think anything did happen. Whether or not Vesta sort of makes something happen, we shall see. I am enjoying it. I did start listening to the audiobook from my library because it is a lot. There's a lot of detail in here. And again, some of it seems pointless, but it's fine to listen to when I'm like cleaning the house. It's actually kind of soothing. All right, I finished this last night, and oh my god, what a wild little book. Our main character went absolutely feral and many ways. She grasped onto this note and these characters that she had built. She had literally was following like a prompt that she found on askjeeves.com. Don't even get me started about that. And she made up all these characters, and she just honed onto it and just was so sure that it was real. Like there was no question that she had made it up. So there was a lot to think about on like what is real, what is fiction, which is one of my favorite, I guess, themes in a book. But the inner monologue that this main character, oh my god, it was a lot. The thing that kept it interesting was that our main character did go around the town, and we found, she'd be like, oh, that's the character Blake, for example. And we're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna find out his name is Jimmy or something. And it was actually Blake. And stuff like that kept happening. And I was like, wait a minute, is there a tiny chance that all of this is true? I'm not gonna tell you whether it is or not, but it was making it more interesting to follow the story. But ultimately, this was so sad. Like you found out more and more in little tiny snippets about our main character's life, or I don't know. It was pretty depressing. It reminded me a lot of the very long short story in Seven Empty Houses. Let me find out what the short story name is. Breath from the Depths. Like it reminded me so much of it. It's about this old woman who's dying, and there's that sense of, is she imagining things? Is she all right in the head? And because of that, it's also reminding me a little bit of We Spread by Ian Reid. Honestly, every single story I read about an old person, it makes me so scared to get old. And also, I'm a little offended on behalf of all elderly people, because all of the characters that are old in my books that I read, they are losing it like completely, and I feel kind of bad. But yeah, I'll probably end up giving Death in Our Hands a 4 because it was so well written. Just like in My Year of Rest and Relaxation, the author put so much detail in this main character, a ridiculous amount of detail, which I love. I really, really admire, and kudos on Atessa. We're on a first name basis. But I do have to say, I like the New York City atmosphere more than the secluded cabin atmosphere. This was a little more sad, and this was a little more like ridiculous and satirical. I gotta hand it to this author. Like, wow, the amount of detail is just immaculate. So now I'm gonna start the second book of this vlog, Magic for Liars. I did end up talking to Grant about Death in Her Hands yesterday as I was reading it. I was like, oh my god, I don't think you would like this book, just because this lady was talking in her head first, like, oh my god. I don't think Grant would like it, but I feel like he would like the concept of it. Let's start book number 2 though, Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. 5-star prediction. I feel bad doing that because I already have so much like expectation, but Sarah Gailey, I'm so excited. what the heck? I just flipped this open again and one of the pages came out. Oh no. All right, I've gotten a quarter of the way through. Let me tell you what this book's about. Also, just a funny thing, I forgot that I opened my office windows last night until I took a shower at like 9 p.m. and I walked to my bedroom and I looked over, and if anyone was out walking their dog, they got a show. Anyway, there's a prologue in here that ripped out of my book, and we open up in a school with this kid named Dylan hiding from like the librarian. There's obviously magic going on. He sneaks out, hears a scream, there's a dead body in the library. So right away, we're intrigued. There's a mystery, there's a murder mystery. Then we get to meet our main character, whose name is Ivy Gamble. She is a private investigator. She is a twin, and her twin is a magical person. She's a mage. I should probably know this. There's this whole scene where she goes to a bar and she starts talking to this bartender all about this magical world, which it's not like a normal thing. So obviously the bartender's like, wait, what are you talking about? I can't tell if he's going to be important later or if he was just a device to info dump, which I don't appreciate an info dump at all. But it does let me know that these magical beings are called mages, not witches or wizards. Ivy's twin, whose name is Tabitha, she's a mage. She is a teacher at this magical school where the murder took place. And the headmistress of the school comes to Ivy's investigative offices and says that there's this murder and they need Ivy, who's not magical, to solve this case. The magical sort of police have decided that this is a suicide and it was like a bad spell or something, but the headmistress is like, no. She chose Ivy because she knows that she knows about magic and she's like the only investigator she knows, I guess? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense that they'd have this non-magical being investigate a magical murder, but whatever, I like Ivy, so I'm fine with it. Ivy's now gone to the school. She's already gotten debriefed on this murder. She's gotten the file with some bloody pictures. She's talking to a few people, and just now, at like the 25% mark, she's talked to her sister. Her sister didn't even know she was on this case, which I find very strange. So yeah, there is so much intrigue going on, not only with their family dynamic, because these sisters aren't close at all. It seems like there's a lot of tension between the two of them, so I want to know more about that. Ivy's very jealous of magical beings and mages. She seems to have resentment toward her sister. Maybe her sister was cruel. I don't know. I kind of want them to be best friends. We'll see. But also, Sarah Gailey is doing a wonderful job of making every single character look suspicious as fuck. The headmistress looks suspicious. The random children are looking suspicious. The groundskeeper, the sister Tabitha, everyone's suspicious.
This is not how I'm gonna live the rest of my life. I hope you know.
What do you mean?
Being a little bitch camera boy.
Why don't you stop pressing record, because I'm gonna keep that.
Dearest gentle reader, this is the story of Queen Charlotte from Bridgerton.
Hello, it is early in the morning, that's why I look the way I do. But I got halfway through Magic for Liars and there are parts that I am enjoying, but I don't know. Part of this feels like it was written on Wattpad for some reason. There's like a forced romance that I hate with a passion because it's just like so random. It's so random that I think he might end up being bad. Like, I hope he gets to be a bad guy because that would make him at least a little bit interesting. We'll see. I don't want to wait until after work to finish it, so I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook I found out in my library. So that is the update. Also, I woke up this morning to an email saying I got a 15% raise. Love that for me. I should probably get to work. So I'll see you later. All right, I'm done with work and I'm done with Magic for Liars, and I am a little disappointed, I have to say. Our main character was solving a murder. This is actually kind of a cozy no, it's not a fantasy. Yes, it is a fantasy. It's kind of a cozy fantasy mystery. Interesting. But also at the same time it wasn't, and so it was just this weird tone of sort of intensity, but also sort of lightness. And my favorite of Sarah Gailey's book, I say that like I've read all of her books, I've only read these two, but this is one of my favorite books, The Echo Wife, and I do feel like there was a lightness in here, but there was this really sharp edge to this book too, which was my favorite thing. This one, I don't know. I didn't see myself caring too much, which is just rude of me. I'm sorry. Our main character, well, she wasn't that likable, but neither was this one, and it was fine. But she was such a weird mixture because she was both super, super insecure. Like, I don't know how old she was supposed to be. Maybe like 30, 35, somewhere around there. And all she can think about is like how much she hated high school and like what she would have done if she was magical, or like she's hating the kids that she's that she sees walking around the school and like, well, the magic is wasted on them. Like, lady, what are you doing? She's so insecure to the point where she gets this stupid side romance that I really, 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 really disliked this being in this book. I thought it was so stupid. Not stupid, but it was just out of nowhere, and it was really annoying. The guy is a teacher at the school that she's, you know, solving this mystery, and she lies to him, or she lets him believe that she's magical, and I'm just like, lady, you're too old for this. What are you doing? So she was both insecure, but she was also kind of arrogant because she is a good private investigator. She has really good instincts and she can read people really well, almost magically, I would say. But it was kind of annoying listening to her because she thought she was smarter than everyone else. And it was interesting how she was sort of manipulating people, but the people she was manipulating were being manipulative, so that was kind of cool. But it's just weird to see such insecurity and such arrogance in the same person. I will say that this really wanted me to read some YA fantasy, which is probably going to be my next video, but I really wish this was from the point of the view of the kids at this school, because there was this one character in particular who was a sort of Alison De Laurentiis type character. She was this popular mean girl, but she was so manipulative and she had a lot of power and she knew how to like pull everyone's strings and push buttons, and I don't know, those characters are so fascinating to me, and I think she was actually one of the coolest characters in this whole book.
I know you want to kiss me.
I'm probably gonna give this a 3-star. It wasn't bad, it was just a little bit underwhelming, maybe. Okay, sorry. I have started my next and final book though, A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan. I'm about 25% through. On the back it says it follows Benny and Sasha, and it says this novel reveals their pasts along with the inner lives of a host of other characters whose paths intersect with theirs. So it is almost short stories. We started with Sasha. She is a young woman in New York City and she has a problem with stealing things, and so we get this inside look to her, and it's so interesting how this story is written because she's telling us a story of her stealing this woman's wallet, but then we also realize that she's talking to her therapist at the same time, so it's her like reflecting back on that time, but there's no paragraph break. It kind of flows in and out of time, which is really, it's just really interesting to read. And then the next story we get Benny, and he's a crusty, older, like middle-aged man. And I really, really didn't like him, but he's like one of our main characters. And then the next story is a flashback to 1979, and one of the girls that Benny was sort of in a band with, like in high school, is from her point of view, and she's like obsessed with Benny. And so it's really interesting how each person that's in like the next story is just a tiny like character just mentioned in the story previously. Like in the first one, we didn't even know who Benny was. But then in Benny's story, we see that Sasha is his secretary. And it's so interesting. And I think it says a lot about how we are in our own minds so much. We have our own story going and our own wants and our own perceptions that we don't even realize the people around us could be thinking about us. They could be in love with us. They could be obsessed. They could hate us. And they have their own shit going on that they're focused on. And then people are focused on them. It's just so cool. And I can't wait to read more of this. Just wanted to tell you, I just started crying. And I'm only on page 82, so... Alright, I finished A Visit from the Goon Squad just a little bit ago, and we have a 5-star read. It's so funny because I recently read a couple short stories and novellas, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm over sad books. No. Around page 60, I had this like revelation that this wasn't an empty sad book. It was more like a nostalgic sad book where you think back on your life about the things you should have done or the things you shouldn't have done. And I thought to myself, you know, I like that because it's not that sad. And 10 pages later, I was sobbing. So I guess I'm still in my sad girl era, and I'm glad because this was just so good. The characters were all sort of related, but also not related at all. And it says Benny and Sasha are like the main characters and all these people people are surrounding them, but I feel like they're not the main characters. I feel like they're all the main characters. And there are so many of them. I kind of want to reread this and keep track of every single one. I think the saddest part and probably my favorite story was chapter 4, Safari. This one had many short stories within this short story. It was crazy, but it's so sad when a character is young and we have a sort of narration from them, but Jennifer Egan sort of plays with time within all of these stories and gives us glimpses to the future and the past of each of these characters. And so there's this one kid who is just this innocent little kid and he's so happy right now, and then she tells us something that happens when he's older, and it just fucking crushed me, and I wasn't prepared for it. And that happened again and again, both for older people and younger people. We also revisited several people at different times in their lives, and this was just so wholly depressing. I feel like this wasn't uplifting at all, and I don't know if that was the point. I feel like there might have been the point that, you know, we need to live life as if, you know, it could all be ruined in the next moment, that we need to remember our life and when we were young and exuberant and just kind of be thankful. That might have been the point. However, I got none of that. What I got was that all of our lives suck and they're going to continue to suck, and that's it. So maybe don't pick this up if you're like feeling hopeless at all. It was actually truly deeply depressing, and I don't know why I'm laughing about it, because like I feel like it's gonna give me many existential crises like over and over again. But it was so beautifully written, and the characters were so rich, and they were all unlikable except the kids. My God. Also, most of the men, I think all of them but maybe one or two, were crusty as fuck, and it's just so, it sucks just that people age. And I say all this, but then there were so many funny parts to this too, and there were so many happy characters, and a couple of them were happy stories, and they weren't, I don't know. It was a very discreetly depressing book. There was also this entire story that was told via PowerPoint. Like, I'm not kidding. But yeah, I just think this was so amazingly written. I definitely want to pick up, it's like the sister book to this. It's called Candy House. Okay, so let's wrap everything up. I would get Grant, but he's playing Call of Duty, and I think he's happiest there, so we're just gonna leave him. I don't know why he likes that game. He literally curses and yells so loud when he's playing that game. It's like, it stresses me out just listening to him play, but whatever. Apparently I like being depressed, so in case you just fast forwarded it here, these were not all 5 stars, although they were all predicted to be, so that is kind of annoying or just depressing, but I had so much fun, and I got a 3, a 4, and a 5 star, a new favorite book possibly of all time, so I will take that as a win. Thank you, Grant. I do think it's funny that I don't think he'd like any of these books. He might like Magic for Liars because there is a mystery in it, but the books that I really liked, it's so funny that he said that my favorite type of book is when people are just living their lives and existing, and he's absolutely right. He knows me so well. I love that. All right, let me know if you've read these books, and whether your partner or your family, your sibling, your friends, do they read as much as you? Do they know your book taste? I think it's so crazy that we all have different things we like in books, and even if we like the same genre, we like different specific things about it. So like, what is your like number one thing to get a 5 star? Like, if this book has this, it will probably be a 5 star. I guess for me, it's people just living their lives. Okay. I feel like I'm talking like I'm making some great point, but I'm just talking so I don't have to awkwardly wave goodbye. So, goodbye!